Hey, good people, just about dark, and I'm going to start hiking from Woody Gap to Dockery Lake Trail Junction. It's going to be a winter trip. This is February. It's going to be in the 30s, maybe get up to around 40 tomorrow, and it's a little wet. At the moment, it is just drizzling a tiny bit. So I've got my umbrella, I've got my bear canister, because I'm in the Blood Mountain Wilderness. They are saying tomorrow it's going to rain and snow almost for certain. To plan for that potential snow, I've got my waterproof breathable sealskins extreme cold weather socks so that I can still hike in my trail running shoes and not have to worry about getting frozen feet. So this is the first time that I've had a chance to try the umbrella attached to the shoulder strap while I'm hiking. So far, pretty good, because it'll keep the rain completely off of my torso if it stays in place. And I won't have to have that wet jacket. All right, so I have got some water getting ready to boil. It is going to go in some yellow curry. So I'm testing some new gear here on the trip. This is the new Soto Windmaster stove. It has a pressure regulator to keep the flow of the fuel more consistent, and it also is better in the wind. So for this winter camping, I figure the Soto Windmaster is a great thing to try. The stove itself is actually about 2 ounces more than the BRS, or a little more than 2 ounces more when you include the 4-pronged pot stand on it. But you don't have to carry a lighter because it has this little piezoelectric starter right here. Bon appetit. This is pretty darn good stuff, this yellow curry. Highly recommended. It is time for bed. I'm in a pretty sheltered spot, but there is a wind advisory with gusts up to 45 miles an hour. I'm definitely not going to experience that because of the sheltered spot that I chose, but I can hear up way overhead, going over the mountains, those really strong winds. The rain has mostly been drizzly and on and off, so I've had the rain go off enough to go out and brush my teeth and go out and adjust a steak. I think I'm pretty well set now for the rest of the evening. It's about 2:15 in the morning right now. My choice here of the site is very sheltered, so I've just had a little bit of flapping of the tent, but it's very minimal, so I'm feeling really happy about that. Because what you can hear overhead is some pretty serious stuff. I actually ended up coming down the mountain somewhat last night in order to get to this area here. The wind was getting stronger, and at that time it was starting to rain harder as well. And even though I had my headlamp to hike with, I wasn't feeling like it was a good idea to keep going up the mountain, so I turned around, came back for about 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes maybe, towards lower elevations, and this spot has been great. I'm glad I'm not having any of this wind directly impinging on the tent. It's about time to get ready and get out of the tent before the snow starts weighing down my tent, and then I gotta sweep it off and might pull the stakes out, etc. See, this stuff is pretty thick and heavy. Coats the tent and weighs it down. So I'm scraping it off with kind of a soft stick here. And even that is hard to get it all off because it's just slushy. So you can see the snow is building up on my pack even as I was packing it up. All right, here we go. Let's get hiking. So Preacher's Rock is actually supposed to be one of the best views in this section of the trail, but it's snowy today. I guess reading on the weather app, it might be as many as 2.5 inches on some of these upper elevations. A little thicker now as I go up in elevation, and actually the snowflakes are a little bigger and a little less like pellets, or down at the lower elevations they can turn into pellets, and below that it's going to be rain, but up here, beautiful big flakes, kind of softly falling. So I've been coming down in elevation since Preacher's Rock, and now I've got a combination of snow and rain. I'm keeping a slow pace to be safe with my footing, as it's slippery and muddy in places. At the same time, I'm trying to keep going at a relatively moderate rate so that I can keep my body temperature, my metabolism going, keep my body temperature up, keep myself warm so I don't have to wear all my warm stuff. I can save that for either a rest or for emergency needs. Water. Gotta love it. Just filled up here. So drink that through my square squeeze filter. I have just passed the Dockery Lake Junction, which was my minimal goal, and I'm heading on to Jared Gap on a section of trail I've already done. Shortly after Jared Gap, I have a little section between Blood Mountain and the Freeman Trail that I have not connected yet. It has mostly stopped raining. It's mostly just drips from the trees now, so I'll leave my umbrella up for a little bit more. There might be a little mist coming down with it as well. For those of you who watch my videos, this tree hanging across the trail should be a familiar sight. It's in my Dockery Lake trip video. Hey, so for those of you who haven't hiked with an umbrella before, I highly recommend it. It just makes the trip that much more pleasant. You don't have rain falling right on your head with a rain jacket. You've got like a little canopy over you. You may also notice my wind shirt. I've now got opened up most of the way so that I can let some of the moisture evaporate that I'm generating from sweat, as I've been hiking a fair bit uphill as I move towards Blood Mountain. So you want to make sure that you don't sweat too much, especially in cold weather like this. The temperatures in the mid-30s and damp means you don't want to get any more wet than you need to. So gaining elevation, we're back into the snow. Well, I just passed the junction with the Freeman Trail, so I'm now on a new portion of the AT for me. I don't actually need to go all the way up to Blood Mountain, given the time and the weather and the damp trail. I think it'll be a little easier and a little safer just to stop at the Slaughter Creek Junction. I made it to the Slaughter Creek Junction. So now I have connected all the pieces of the AT from Amicalola Falls through to where the Byron Reese Trail intersects not far from here, past Blood Mountain. All right, this is the first time I'm going to try out this chair. It's the 1 pound REI Flexlite Air, I think is what it's called. So I'll enjoy some lunch in relative comfort. All right, lunch is done, packed up. Let's get get hiking. So on the way back here, just cruising along, I really enjoyed hiking with the umbrella. But I do have to say, I can go way faster without worrying about the umbrella getting knocked out of the way due to the wind or from trees. I am back at Jarrett Gap. It's a little windier than it was a couple hours ago. So on my way back here, the conditions are drying things out on the trail a little bit, even with the fog and the dampness. And if you take a look at this rock here, you can see it's partially dry. And I've been seeing quite a bit of that on the way back. Definitely didn't have that on the way out. Back at Dockery Lake. Now it's time to head back to Preacher's Rock and enjoy that foggy view again. And then I realized I left my tent stakes at the site when I was picking up there on the ground. So gonna make one stop to pick up my tent stakes and then back to the car. There are just a few little bits of snow left. Maybe a little hard to tell, but I am back at Preacher's Rock. It is significantly more windy than it was in the morning. Haha! I found my stakes. Here I'm back at Woody Gap. That's the end of this hike. It was quite an adventure with the rain and the snow. Woody Gap to Slaughter Creek Junction just below Blood Mountain. Done.